Have you ever wondered what life would be like if you can just wake up in the morning and do your thing without stressing about it? You fix yourself up, make your breakfast, and get started with your day. You do everything that you need to do without giving it a trillion thoughts before you do it. It feels good, don't it? Something must be wrong though, because you usually overthink everything before you do it. You overthink about things that doesn't make any sense. You overthink about everything. Your whole life is revolved around overthinking. Maybe that YouTube video you watched on how to stop overthinking actually worked, right?
Wrong. See, it's time to wake up because you know that's never going to happen. People like us, we're overthinkers. We overthink about everything, every single thing to the littlest details. And I used to wonder to myself, oh, how can I stop overthinking? How can I stop overthinking? Like, why do I overthink so much, And I always used to beat myself over that. Like, why do I overthink so much? Like, something I hated about myself was overthinking all the damn time. It just pissed me off so much that I would look at everyone else around me and they weren't overthinking like me. It was only me. I was always overthinking about the simplest stuff. I couldn't go shower without overthinking that somebody might be in the shower. But to be honest, over the years, I kind of came to terms that, hey, I'm an overthinker. And I embraced that. I embraced the fact that I overthink. And I think overthinking has its pros to it, even though a lot of you guys don't think that it has pros to it. But I think overthinking has its pros to it. And I finally learned to embrace my overthinking side, and I think you should too, and here's why. Overthinking isn't something that you just decide to have. It's not something that you wake up one day and say, hey, let me overthink. Like, I would like to overthink. Let me start overthinking today. It's not that simple. You don't just wake up in the morning and choose to start overthinking. Overthinking for most of us happens when we're little. In those growing up stages, in those younger years, something happened while we were growing up to make us start overthinking a whole lot. It could have been childhood trauma, family member dying, anything could have just happened negatively that just made you start overthinking. And you can't just get rid of overthinking when it's been in you since you were a youngin'. You can't just get rid of it. You can't expect to watch a YouTube video and think that magically you're gonna stop overthinking. I was I was watching this video, and this doctor was basically saying the subconscious mind is basically programming itself from the ages of 1 through 7 years old. And you cannot completely wipe out what's in your subconscious mind from 1 through 7 by just watching a YouTube video telling you don't overthink. If you go on YouTube right now, you see people saying how to stop overthinking, ways to avoid overthinking. And that's how you know those people aren't real overthinkers, because all of my real overthinkers know that you can't just stop overthinking. To me, the biggest insult is when I'm overthinking something and somebody say,
just stop overthinking it.
what you mean stop overthinking it? I can't. You can't just stop overthinking it. It's like overthinking has came through so much for me. And yes, overthinking has its darker sides. It has really dark sides. And that's the sides that can lead us into depression and all that. But at the same time, you can't expect to only get the good. There will always be bad. There will always be bad with it. So stop trying to go on YouTube and stop reading books trying to figure out how to stop overthinking. What I can say is that there is stuff you can do to help your overthinking. Here's one thing I do to help stop my overthinking. The biggest thing I do when I start overthinking is to call on my friend Logic. logic. And you just can't go wrong with logic. You cannot go wrong with logic. That's my best friend. I don't care what anybody say. Logic will always be my best friend. When I am in the process of overthinking, I'm thinking about things. My mind is going crazy. Basically, my mind is wilding. I don't try to stop my mind from overthinking. I don't try to punish myself for overthinking. You get it? I let my mind run its course. I just let it. I let it run its course. At the same time, I'm not sucked into my thoughts. I'm not in one with my thoughts. I am paying attention to myself at all times. When I'm overthinking, I start to pay a lot of attention to myself. If there's any time that I pay attention to myself the most is when I start overthinking. Because I know when I overthink, a lot of emotions is involved. And little to no logic comes into play when I'm overthinking. So I pay attention to myself a lot as soon as I start overthinking. So this is the process for me. I'm overthinking, right? Say my mom's friend put food on the table. Start thinking, oh damn, Shorty probably poisoned that. Why did she poison the food? What did she poison the food? Like, what am I gonna eat? Like, what if hair fell inside the food from her? What if she don't shower? Like, all these thoughts start going through my mind, right? That's cool. I let my mind run. Like I said, I don't try to punish myself for overthinking. I let my mind run. It's not your fault that you're an overthinker. It's really not your fault. You were born, a lot of things happened in your life that made you overthink, and you went through a whole lot of shit, and that's fine. You cannot change that about yourself. It's running, it's doing its thing. And I'm paying attention to what I'm saying. And eventually I go, okay, but why would she do that? Why would she poison the food? Does she know that if she did poison the food, the cops would know that she was the last person that gave us food to eat? Like, why would she do that? That makes no sense as to why she would poison my food. I say the funniest thing about all this is, even if you use these tactics to try and like calm your overthinking side down, it is bound to like come up. Like, for example, how I just said, oh, why would she poison the food if she knows the cops will know that she's the last one to feed us? My mind will go, oh, but what if she put a poison in the food that kills us 3 days later? What if? And then during those 3 days, of course, we're going to eat. So what if they just assume that the food that we ate in the morning on the last third day is the food that killed us? You see, it just runs. It's just something that runs and runs and runs. I think the best way to start acknowledging that you overthink and that it's fine to overthink is by finding out that specific point in your life where you know something happened to you and you started thinking more. What if it was your mom constantly leaving? What if you didn't get to spend a lot of time with your family? And that made you overthink, because that can get someone anxious, make them overthink a lot. When you're little, your mom and dad are rarely home, you starts to overthink. You start to overthink a lot. And that's something that just sticks with you. I feel like we are superheroes. Overthinkers are superheroes. And there's nothing anyone can tell me about that. We're literally superheroes. You can give a person that doesn't overthink a problem so they can find a solution to it. And they'll probably come up with 1, 2, 3 solutions, at least 3 max, maybe 5, But you give somebody that overthinks a lot a problem to find a solution to, and they'll come up with 100 solutions. You find all these type of solutions that you didn't even think of. It's just solutions on top of solutions. It's just our minds think differently And I think we should learn to embrace that. Acknowledge what? Overthinking. What if overthinking? Embrace your overthinking. You can't embrace your overthinking side. If you embrace overthinking. Why would you overthink? I think the sooner you realize that you don't need to fight with the fact that you overthink, and you just need to learn how to work with your overthinking side, you finally learn how to embrace it.